Okay. Okay. All right. All right. All right. Happy 21. Happy 21. Let's see. Give a little time for some people to get in here. Gonna have a very interesting conversation today. I've been away for a while. It's my first time being on this year. I haven't been on since last year. Um, a lot has transpired. Just been in the depths of my inner journey, which is probably why I'm able to be able to talk about what I'm talking about today. Um, yeah, there's so much to uncover about ourselves. Funny thing is, right there in our face too, but we can't see it. But hopefully, uh, we'll be able to uncover some of those mysteries today. You know what I mean? Friday, be back with PPV. Well, actually, it'll just be me and coffee and cannabis. Because Marcus and Duncan are busy working and doing their thing right now. But Friday, I am going to have on good friend of mine, my boy Johans Miles, alumni Alabama State University, actor, professor. We're going to dive into some spirituality, religion, and history, and the state of the HBCU. So tune in for that conversation. That's going to be a really good one as well. Got a few things coming down the line soon, but just be on the lookout. I'll talk about it more as I start to post more videos. Uh, 1 second. 1 second. So we're just gonna say what's up if you went here. We're gonna talk about King Narmer and this palette. I think it's time 2021. Uh, being that anybody for one, but especially African Americans who don't know where they come from, it's a good time to research and study your roots. There's some very, very interesting information to find. It's a lot of stuff too. But Narmer is known so far as the first king or ruler or pharaoh or whatever word you want to use of Upper and Lower Egypt or Kemet at the time. He was known to have unified the two lands, and the crowns that he wore symbolized those. I'm going to show you pictures of all of this too when we get into it. Um, but just doing a little research on that piece of work, which is one of the oldest. Oh, what's up to Hootie Hotel? Um, Oldest pieces of work that we don't get taught about in school. We're going to talk about it today. What was interesting was that I did some research on it, and as I'm studying everything that I'm looking at, I'm saying that they don't really know what it is. So there's a lot of theories, but all of the theories. What's up, Barbara? Good to see you, old friend. Well, virtually. um, it's always about this conquest and this war and conquering other people, but none of the images, well, I don't say none of them, but some of the images don't describe that at all. It describes things more on the astrological and the spiritual level. And so, it's a little dangerous for us to allow other people to teach us about our history in ways that are not accurate, because we can be looking back at ourselves and seeing a misrepresentation of ourselves and having the wrong picture, because that's going to drive a new narrative about where we go from there. um, but as I dove deeper into this study, man, our ancestors were, man, and just in this one plate that's two-sided, there's so much information, and I haven't finished uncovering it fully myself. So I'm not about to sit here and try to be no master teacher to you today, but we're going to talk together and just dive into it. And this is going to be an ongoing series because I'm still studying. um so yeah, we're gonna get into it. I'm gonna show you first. um let's see. I'm gonna show you what one of the sides look like. Okay, so if this is your first time seeing this, it's gonna look like some damn, what am I looking at right now? It looks like two horned devil monsters at the top, and this giant guy about to like smash this other guy's head. And then when we get to the bottom half, there are two people who seem to be stuck underground. Um, this image is not as scary as it looks. There's a lot of astrology here. But before I get to that, I'm going to show you the other side of it. I believe this is it. One second. Do, do, do. Uh-oh, I'm moving slow right now. I gotta show y'all the other side. One second, one second. Here we go. Okay. Here's the other side to it. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit. And we can see at the top, we still have. And by the way, this at the top here is the goddess Hathor, as we can see from the ears. But I'm gonna break down what, from what I understand, a lot of these symbols to mean, so that it can open a conversation, because I can't really end it. So here we got a lot going on as well. We seem to have some little people carrying some staff into this place where we have 10 decapitated people up under a boat. We have a king. We have someone behind him when there is a leaf star above his head. And then when we go down a little bit further, we have um, these are called sauropods. It's a mythological character. It's a mythological character, but they're intertwined. And then as we get a little bit lower, there is a bull, older. Some guy seems to be looking like he's pretty distraught. I don't know what's going on here. But so I'm doing research and just trying to understand what this is. And so we're gonna see what they're currently saying about these things. Okay, so so at the top we got Narmer's name, just symbolizing a catfish and a chisel inside of a palace. We're gonna talk about that. Head of the goddess Bat or the goddess Hathor. That's who the horned person is or deity. Uh, to the right, top right corner up under Hathor, we have the boat preceded by Swallow and an open door. They don't know what the meaning of that is. Up under that, we got the decapitated foes, like we said, except for one, severed parts that are placed between their legs. That's very interesting. And then to the left, we got Narmer with a sandal bearer behind him. He's wearing the red crown of Lower Egypt, but a tail and a kilt known as the Lower Egyptian costume. Uh, then we got here in the middle, got a priest wearing a leopard skin following four divine standards. So these four divine standards we're going to talk about are the four netters or the four principles. There's a lot more other meanings going into that too. And then we got this serpopars. There we go. Uh, intertwined next, defining the recess for mixing makeup. Yeah, yeah. And they say right here may represent the king as a bull knocking down the walls of a city. Okay, cool. So some very interesting stuff. Um, and so a lot of study behind it was talking about this being symbolic of when Narmer ruled or became the ruler of Upper and Lower Kemet. And just to give you a little background on that, Upper Kemet it would be the lower part, which is closest to Sudan, and then Lower Egypt would be, you know, closer to where the northern part of Africa. Um, these crowns symbolize that, but so I went a little bit deeper into, you know, because I'm on my inner journey. You know what I mean? So I'm doing some research on these crowns. One represents, like I said, Lower Egypt, and the other represents Upper Egypt. And between the two is the Nile River. Now, one thing I've learned about, you know, us is that we're very symbolic people. So we're gonna put we're going to teach ourselves about this universe and how we describe nature. And so the Nile River to to the people of Kemet was the source of life, uh, you know, on Earth. Um, so it was also a representation of your spine or your kundalini. Uh, so we have a upper part of ourself where our third eye is, or we have a lower part of ourself, which is where your genital area is. But when these two lands are merged together or they're unified, then just like in the Buddhist or the Hindu culture, you know, with the chakras, now you have become illuminated. And so this palette is telling this story about illumination, but even on a deeper level is talking about some very deep um astrological mathematical concepts that in our community we have not tackled yet, but we do watch them a lot on some of these movies. So you'll see a lot of Pirates of the Caribbean in this in this picture. You'll see a lot of Ant-Man. You'll see a lot of Wizard of Oz. These are all talking about metaphysical meanings about life and death. And so let's get into it real quick. I'm going to show you a picture real quick of. just the goddess of fertility, sex. She's usually associated with the moon. Now, one thing we must know, for those who don't know, none of our ancestors worship any of these images. They didn't believe in multiple or any type of gods. That wasn't a word that existed in that culture. Uh, they're expressing some very detailed concepts about nature, the universe, space, time, and the microscopic world, if that's the right word to use. And so to understand these images, you will have to put yourself in that frame of mind to understand what they're talking about. So, what are they talking about? Anybody watch any good movies lately? You remember the movie? It's gonna be interesting. Beetlejuice. We're gonna talk about that one. So there's a lot of symbolic representation in that movie in regards to this. It's gonna be funny how I show it to you. But I wanna show you a picture right here real quick. Let me see. Share screen right here. Okay, this is from the book The Ancient Secret of the Flower of Life, which goes into a lot of science behind the temples and the pyramids of Egypt and what they were talking about. And so this figure 7.4 right here is, so they're talking about how the sperm enters the egg, and we've been taught that it only takes one to get inside of the egg, but apparently that's not necessarily the case. The sperm gets flooded with the egg gets flooded with tons of sperm, but it takes right here, as you can see, 10, 11, or 12 sperm cells on surface making a union. And then what happens is it allows the 11th, 12th, to 13th sperm cell to enter to the egg. I never saw that before, but that's very interesting because I'm going to show you where you will see this again. Because if we look at the concept as above, so below, and this is about this entity going through this process to enter this void in order to be regenerated, in order to create or be created. uh, there's a bigger path to that same exact story. So let's see how we can see that in this picture with Narmer. So let's go back to it real quick. Okay. Oh, good. Now I ain't gotta look at me no more. So if you look at the top right corner, remember those decapitated men we talked about? Let's count them out, shall we? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Over here, go to the left, we have our king or our pharaoh. And this is androgynous, so it could be a man or a woman. But this is a symbolic story of astrology, if we will. Now, there is an image I have to show you to help understand what this is first, real quick. Um, there's a deity, and I may not be pronouncing it right, but the name is Aker, and it's a deity of two lions, and these lions have a sun disk between them. And on a surface level, it represents you being present in the moment, and you're being in the land of night and day. You're between sunset and sunrise. You know, but we also have to remember that we are all these aspects of the self. So it's like if you read the Bible, if you watch a movie, um we're so used to just seeing ourselves as the hero, which makes sense because that's what we want to be. But in order to see the true meaning behind the story, you have to put yourself in all of the pictures. So you are the hero just as much as you are the villain, but there's no good and evil. It's just a concept. It's more about light and dark. It's about the things that you project to be versus the things that really are, the things that you hide, things that you're afraid of, versus the things that you lie about. We can go on and on about the ego versus the soul. We got a shadow, but that's part about what this is about. So he has to go through Osiris. Oh, there's a beautiful book. Got to get this. It's called The Road from Orion. This book is a it's a fantasy book that's breaking down this woman's book on the Isis thesis, and it's about the process of life and death and the afterlife and where you go, and what you're supposed to do, so on and so forth. But you have to ride on the sun boat or on the boat of Osiris to go into the land of the dead. Now, metaphorically, that's talking about going into the deeper parts of your mind, um, because that's where all of those things are. The mind is all, and the universe is mental. So if it's mental, let's think about that in a mental space. Um, the night or that dark or the subconscious, how are we familiar with that? Let's think about when we go to bed. When we go to bed, we go to sleep. We're in that dream state. That's when we're less connected to this 3D realm, and we're more connected to the ethereal or the spiritual realm. Um, and so, in order to evolve or become enlightened, you have to understand both sides of yourself, meaning the light part, the day part, the part that's sleep, the part that's awake, the part that's unseen, the part that is seen, in order for you to become whole. That's where the true balance is. And the gateway to that place is the ultimate goal is love. That's the message of Jesus. Because once your heart is open, because that's the only real frequency that there is, uh, you're able to break free from all of those lower frequency things. Um, so, but in order to do that, just like Jesus, you got to go through that process of death in order to be reborn again. Did you know that the word Calvary means place of the skull? So it's a place somewhere up in here, because you got different parts of the brain that function in different ways. But there's a crossroads up in here. There's a crossroads in your life where you don't know where you have to go. There's a pinpoint. There's a lot of different ways of looking at it. But before I jump into that, I got to get back to telling you about this boat because this man got to travel. He got to travel because he got to go somewhere. Oh, so let's go back to it real quick. Boom, boom, boom. Before, yes. No, 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 no. Hmm. One second. Hmm. Okay. Let me show you this picture real quick. Outside of this being some very beautiful artwork, um, this is another representation of Osiris traveling on his celestial boat. As you can see, there's a hawk who is a representation of Heru or Horus. Horus has on the double crown, which is symbolic of the unification of both lands. He has on the white crown, but in this one is blue. So with these crowns, because we're in this place where we look at crowns as the symbol of I'm king or I'm above something or royal. La la la. They're talking about a this single crown right here is a mushroom cap. I know y'all don't want to hear that, but there it is. Secondly, on a deeper aspect, if one is representing upper Kemet and one is representing lower Kemet, back to what I was saying, is talking about what areas of yourself you're dominant over. So once you have on the double crown and you're unified between your masculine and your feminine, now you're the king who gets to sit on the throne. But if you're the king who only sits over the lower parts of the self, then you can follow where the story is going with that. Yeah. Um, but you're the boat. So what we're seeing here is someone traveling, astro traveling, if you will. Um, but one way of looking at astro travel is to travel through the cosmos of your own mind to see where you've been, to see what's going on, so that you can unify yourself, so that you can lay in hell all the sins of the world, your sins of your world, so that you can rise up as the illuminated one. That's the story there. But the story continues. So there's a space. It's like oh what we talk about when people get spooked out about stones and crystals, say it opens up portals. Um, but that's how we all got here, is because some portal opened up. And so what our ancestors were doing was trying to describe how that system works, because it's something that goes on daily. Um, and on a raw note is, breaking it down to male and female energy, because everything moves in circles, ones and zeros, um, lines and curves. So we can look at a picture of a galaxy and think we're just looking at a beautiful picture of stars, but not seeing that there are two things we're looking at. We're seeing light and we're seeing darkness. We're seeing masculine energy and we're seeing feminine energy. and these things are being formed together inside of another thing called the Great Void, or the Great Mother. Let me show you this picture right here. This is what's that? From that same book. It's talking about male and female spirals. There are two kinds of energies that move through golden mean rectangles. One energy is the diagonals that cross the squares, moving at 90-degree turns, shown in black. That's the male energy. The female energy is the line that keeps curving in toward the center, shown in gray. So you have a female golden mean, uh, logarithmic spiral, along with the male spiral that uses straight lines with 90-degree turns at the pi ratio. And much of the work I will show you will be looking at only the male aspect, but you remember the female aspect is always there. So why did I show you that? I show you that because it just looks very familiar to something that we've seen before. Let's see if I can find it for you. All right. White crown, double crown, red crown. Uh, there's a lot of math behind these hats. And that's what you're looking at right now. But you're looking also on this red crown, or look at this double crown, that spiral. It's referring back to that same spiral that this person is talking about in this book. And as you can see, the same shapes we just saw in those images resemble the same shapes we see right here. Um, so we're not really looking at people, we're looking at the breakdown of space time and the stars when we look at a lot of these temple walls. Uh, Interesting enough, we saw that. Um, what movie? Boom, Beetlejuice. As you can see, the way they pronounce his name, where that arrow is pointing, is the way you pronounce the name of the star. That's the Greek star. That's the shoulder of Orion. So back to Orion again. Um, the star Betelgeuse is a red giant star that, for the past however long, has been going through a death phase. So it's turning into a supernova. And so there's a lot of mythologies behind this star, because that's where this whole idea about you getting your superpowers from, talking about Betelgeuse. Because if this star, which we're a representation of falling stardust, if a massive star is going through this supernova phase and is shooting out cosmic winds or these flares, and our consciousness receives light, what is that light then doing to our DNA? Something for you to think about, ponder on. But it's what they were referring to. So it was cool in the movie. Beetlejuice is is this exorcist who comes back, who is summoned to kick out these people who don't want to leave this house. Um, so again, going back to that life, death, and rebirth. And if you remember, in that movie, it was all about the other side, that portal that they were going to. Still going back to this palette that we're looking at too, because that's where he goes when he goes between um, the two lion heads. Is going between um, that land of Acker, which is the land that we're in. But going through that portal, now you're going into that next cosmic realm. I'm not gonna give it a name, but uh, one second. I'm trying to find a picture. Where is it? Here we go. Okay, so yeah, goes through here. Go back again to that crown. Remember that crown? There's also right here, this smaller person standing next to him with this leaf star behind him. The reason why we know this is something dealing with astrology because that is a Rosetta leaf. Now, something interesting about that. Some because for some reason, well, I'll show you this picture first, real quick. So there's a thing called the grand number, or the Fibonacci sequence, or the golden number, and it's a spiral sequence of numbers that go on and on, and it is what they call the makeup of everything around us. You see it in your DNA, you see it in your fingerprints, you see it in the measurement of your fingers. You'll see the same numbers. If I can find a picture of it, I will definitely show it to you. So you're really just adding numbers on top of numbers, but these numbers go on, and they create so many different symbols. Stop sharing. Let's see here. Oh, here we go. That's what I want to show you earlier. So going back to that Fibonacci or that golden mean, there are two arms of the spiral, one opposite the other, exactly 180 degrees apart. Notice that between the reflecting arms, the light goes very dark. The black light spirals are rotating at 180 degrees to each other and 90 degrees to the white light. We've seen that before in the swirling galaxy, as shown below. If you look right in the center, you can see that the two opposite arms are exactly 180 degrees to each other. Um, go back down. That's what I explained. Oh, here we go. The dark arms, the feminine ones, come out between the light ones. That explains why the black light between the light arms of the spiral is different than the blackness in the rest of the space. As scientists have discovered, because the black light within the spiral is the feminine energy and the darkness out of space is void, not the same. The scientists couldn't quite understand why it was different. So I don't even know if you you remember in Alice in Wonderland, she had to follow the yellow brick road. It's a very interesting way to describe it. Sorry, not Alice in Wonderland. The Wizard of Oz. I've been saying Alice in Wonderland all day. I keep getting the two mixed up because they're both very metaphysical. But we're not talking about Alice in Wonderland today. We're talking about the Wizard of Oz. I'll show you a picture of it. Oh, here we go. Follow the yellow brick road. One of these roads, because as you can see, there's also a red road. It's the same with going back to the light and the dark spirals. Masculine and the feminine. That whole story of the Wizard of Oz is about the hero's journey into the underworld. Just like in Narmer's palette, she has to get on that cosmic boat to travel into the deep parts of herself. And what does she see there? What's her companion? She has a cowardly lion. So it's all these parts of herself that have been suppressed that she needs to unlock. She needs courage. She needs bravery. She needs a heart. She needs a brain. So she thinks, but she already has all these things. Um, but she's on the journey to truly unlocking potentials inside of herself. Remember, every time the witch shows up, the little munchkins fall out. Shout out to Brother Panic for that. He's been dropping a lot of knowledge. Um, but yeah, so with Beetlejuice, because remember, what was interesting in with Alice, here we go again, Alice in Wonderland, with Wizard of Oz, old girl, when the shoes, when the witch, when the witches, when the house fell on the witch. Yeah. Okay. Two stories coming back. Shout out to Panic again for that one. House on the Witch. Uh, one day, what's gonna happen is we're really gonna unlock our mind and get to a place to where, man, we're I don't know, we're gonna do some new stuff. But check this out. So we got the house falling on the Wicked Witch, who was Mrs. Gold. And if you remember her personality, there was a lot of negativity about her. But you can see these ugly socks she got on, the white and black, talking about those spirals of light. And she also has on the red shoes, which is the first color that you see coming out of the sun, which is the base, which is the root chakra. So we got a mythology going there. Then we're gonna come back, and then we're gonna go to. I know it's too early to be this nerdy and this deep. Yep, but watch it later. Sounds silly today. Can't find the picture, so I'll just pull it back up for you again. I just I just thought this was interesting that right here again we got the same thing. Now we got the white and black stripes. We don't have any red shoes, but we got a red dress. But again, we're talking about science. Doesn't seem like it. I guess not, huh? Because all we're talking about is movies and pictures, but we're really just talking about science on a uh, on a quantum level. So, where is Mr. Nama? Now I'm finding all these pictures I was trying to show y'all. That's funny. 1 second. Oh, that's what I meant to show you as well. Excuse me. So remember, I'll go back to it in just a second. Yeah, we'll do that. Remember, there was a little short man right here, uh, who has the star in front of his head, right? So, um, remember the Rosetta that I was telling you about? Or Rossetti. Not sure if I'm pronouncing it right, but it's a nebula. And we can just do maybe a quick Wikipedia search. The Rossetti Nebula is a region located near one of the giant molecular cloud in the Monoceros region of the Milky Way galaxy. Um, the stars of the cluster have been formed from the nebulous matter. So this has been observed as a place where stars are created. Let's see if they got any pictures of it. Boom. I mean, I guess somebody's artist description of it. But yeah. My question is, if this piece of work came from like 5,000 years ago, how in the world did they have such detailed information on these systems that are so far away? This Rossetti Nebula is like 5 light years away. So, that's something for you all to think about when you're thinking about, where we come from and what we had and what's modern versus primitive. Because this is not the most advanced that we've ever been. Um, so yeah. Um, but in this plate, it's a journey through the cosmos, and it's a journey through the unification of the upper and the lower self, which is something that we're supposed to do here on the planet. It's like your daily life. Like you go to sleep, now you're in the twilight or you're in the underworld, and in there now you get to explore your mind and you're getting messages. Your dreams are messages from, if you want to call it God, you want to call it the universe. It's a deep part of your soul. It's putting symbols up to show you what you need to see, for you then to take that information and that energy, wake up in the day, and then materialize it with something for yourself. um or dematerialize all these illusions. It's probably what those decapitated people meant, you know? Um, because that's what Mother Kali represents, you know. This represents, you want to be the peaceful Shiva, because you're all of this. We're all of this. The decapitated heads represents the manifestation of the ego. All of the tails, all of the heads on her neck are different forms of the ego. And once she cuts off the ego, she liberates her children, which means once your ego is dissolved from yourself, because it never really goes away, which is why you're going to always be cutting. Um, and you become submissive to that dark energy, or that dark side of yourself, or that feminine energy inside of yourself. When you become submissive to it, then you become the peaceful one. When you fight it, she gonna take this hand. She gonna cut your head off, buddy, because there's nothing to fight. That's one of the points in the stories of this world that we live in. There's nothing to fight about. There's nothing to be mad about. So whatever you're angry about, that's what I'm learning. That's where your journey starts. Why am I angry about it? Why am I upset? Why am I frustrated? It's just the ego. But the ego can't live, and Shiva live as well. Shiva is also a destroyer, which is a representation of your ability to create or destroy, the power of life and death in your tongue or your mind, because you can think thoughts and create things. Uh, so yeah, gotta know where you are. You gotta see how to follow um, the signs too. Here's another representation of that Fibonacci sequence. This is a crustacean that's like 200 million years old. So none of this stuff is new. I think at one point they just understood it and wrote about it. And now we're trying to figure out how to fully understand it. It's gonna take some time, but it's gonna be a fun. For me, it's been a fun ride. Sometimes I go down a rabbit hole, but if you think I'm crazy, if I say a lot of stuff that sounds crazy, just go back and watch the second and the third Pirates of the Caribbean when they traveled to Davy Jones' locker. It's the same story. They traveled to the underworld, now they're in this purgatory land. Uh, um, to go and rescue the boat or the captain. Um, Avengers Endgame is another good one about that quantum realm. Remember in Wizard of Oz, there's all these munchkins. I'm starting to think that this munchkin thing is just about all these entities that you see when you go into the quantum realm. Because we there's so many living species of bacteria that we don't even see, but they're so intelligent. And so there's a whole world or a whole universe that exists within our own body that we're still uncovering that will tell us about the universe that we live in. So, uh, yeah, this dude traveled through the duat. The reason why I brought this up is because, man, how much information about our history is being regurgitated back to us by people who don't understand it. And even if we don't understand it ourselves, at least we're exploring it for ourselves. Because it's not that hard to put nature back together. All they're doing is describing nature. So if you see something that doesn't make any sense, all you have to do is go look somewhere in nature for it, because that's where it is. That's where you are. I'm gonna continue this conversation later. Uh, so I want to show some more things, but did I have another picture? No, I did not. Gate to the Yonder. I never did show you. Oh, here we go. The two lions. So this is the actor I was telling about, the twin lions. Um, and we're a manifestation of the sun, right? So that's us in between the two lions, or in that realm. If you see to that right corner, you see the sitting Osiris. Uh, has that cap on his head. We don't get too much into this symbol because that wasn't the point. The point was show you what that looks like. It's pretty fun exploring all of this history because it helps you put yourself back together. Not that you need to go and be a part of some new group, but just to help you unlock your mind so that you can open it You know, uh, one of the earth gods guarding the gate to the yonder sight. That's what their role was. A protector of the deceased king against snakes in the underworld. Uh, replaces the god Kurti, becoming a ferryman of Ra in his nocturnal bark. In the Book of the Dead, Aker also gives birth to the god Kepri. Kepri is the dung beetle. Dung beetle is a representation of the solar wind that pushes the sun forward to create new life. Aker is described to hide the body of the dead Osiris beneath his womb. Aker is protected by the god Geb. Geb is god of the sky. Uh, I've only brought up definitions so that then we can start having a conversation about it because it's too deep, too deep. Try to talk about all this stuff in one video or no way. Be here all day, 8 hours. I'm not doing that. But I would encourage you to get this book. It's really good. I would encourage you to get this book, The Ancient Secret of the Flower of Life. So you talk about, man, we don't know where we come from, we don't know what tribe. Yo, here you go. You want to know? Somebody has taught you, though, in your church that all of this is evil. Maybe you want to challenge that thought. But here you go. If you want to study. But yeah, we'll pick back up on this later and really get into some deep cosmos. All right, guys. Have a beautiful day. I love you. And peace.